What if your job isn't the real measure of your success, but your growth is? What if, beneath all your daily deadlines and meetings, the real mission is to evolve, not just to earn? Every day millions wake up to chase a paycheck, a promotion, or approval. But how many wake up to chase progress? To become more capable, more confident, more compassionate than they were yesterday. That's the essence of today's message. Prioritize personal growth over your job. Because your job may give you stability, but your growth gives you freedom. When you first start working, it feels like everything depends on your career. You measure your worth by your title, your salary, or the recognition others give you. You work hard, and sometimes you lose yourself in that rhythm, the routine of responsibility. But over time, something inside you whispers, "Is this all there is?" That whisper is your potential calling. It's your inner self reminding you that jobs can come and go, companies can rise and fall, but who you become along the way, that's what endures. Personal growth is the quiet, powerful force that shapes your destiny. It's what helps you stay grounded when everything around you changes. It's what gives you clarity when life feels uncertain. And most importantly, it's what makes you whole even when your external achievements are still on the way. Let's be honest. We live in a world that glorifies work. Hustle culture tells us that if we're not constantly grinding, we're falling behind. But here's the truth. You can be successful on paper and still feel lost in life. You can work in a high-rise office and still feel like you're standing still inside. That's because external success without internal growth is hollow. It's a house built on sand, impressive from the outside, but fragile at the foundation. Real fulfillment doesn't come from how much you make, but from how much you learn, how much you heal, and how much you grow. Personal growth begins when you start asking deeper questions. Not about what you do, but about who you are becoming through what you do. Ask yourself, am I learning something new every day? Am I handling challenges with more patience than before? Am I becoming the kind of person I once admired? If your job helps you grow in these ways, that's wonderful. But if it doesn't, it may be time to rethink your priorities. Because the truth is, your job is a platform, not your purpose. It's a vehicle for your growth, not the destination. When you prioritize your growth, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them. There will be times when growth asks you to step outside your comfort zone, to take a course, to change careers, to start something new, or even to walk away from something that no longer serves your evolution. And yes, it's scary. Growth always is. But fear is not your enemy. Stagnation is. Every breakthrough in your life will begin with a moment of discomfort. Every level of growth requires you to release an old version of yourself. You'll have to let go of the need for approval, the fear of failure, and the illusion of security. You'll learn to trust your inner compass, the one that's always been guiding you toward your higher self. Think of your job as a chapter, not the entire book. A chapter is important. It builds the story. But it's not the whole story. You are the author of that book, and your personal growth is what gives each chapter meaning. No one remembers how long a character stayed in one chapter. They remember how they changed through it. So don't fear transitions. Don't fear reinvention. Don't fear outgrowing your surroundings. That's the sign you're evolving. A flower doesn't apologize for outgrowing its pot. Neither should you. You see, every great leader, artist, and thinker who ever changed the world had one thing in common. They valued growth over position. They didn't just chase success. They chased mastery. They didn't just work for a living. They worked for becoming. When you prioritize growth, you stop competing and start creating. You no longer measure yourself by others' timelines or definitions of success. You measure yourself by the quiet victories, the discipline you build, the resilience you strengthen, the wisdom you gain. Sometimes, growth means slowing down, taking a step back to reflect, to breathe, to reset your direction. It's easy to mistake business for progress, but real growth happens in stillness. In the moments when you pause and ask, is this taking me closer to who I want to be? Personal growth is not about chasing perfection. It's about becoming more aware, more present, more aligned. When you grow personally, even your job transforms, because you bring a stronger, wiser version of yourself to it. You stop waiting for your work to fulfill you, and you start fulfilling your work with your presence. The most successful people aren't the ones who never failed. They're the ones who kept evolving through every failure. They understand that setbacks are not signs of weakness, but invitations to grow stronger. Every disappointment becomes a lesson. Every challenge becomes a teacher. When you adopt that mindset, your job stops being just a paycheck. It becomes a practice ground for your growth. You learn leadership not just from managing others, but from managing yourself, your emotions, your focus, your reactions. You learn resilience not from easy days, but from the days that test your patience. That's how personal growth turns ordinary work into extraordinary transformation. And remember, personal growth doesn't end when you leave the office. It extends to every area of your life. It's in the way you communicate with loved ones, the way you handle criticism, the way you take care of your health and peace of mind. The person you are after hours. That's who you truly are. That's where real success is built, because at the end of the day, your job title may change, your company may change, your industry may even disappear. But who you've become, your wisdom, your confidence, your character, those things can never be taken from you. They are your lifelong assets. So, if you ever find yourself stuck in a job that no longer inspires you, don't panic. Don't rush to escape it. Grow through it. Ask yourself what it's trying to teach you. What strength is it asking you to build? What part of you is it challenging you to improve? Because every experience, no matter how difficult, carries a hidden lesson. And those lessons are what shape your greatness. But never forget this. You owe yourself a life that feels meaningful, not just manageable. A life that grows you, not just pays you. You deserve to wake up excited, not only for what you do, but for who you're becoming through it. So today, I challenge you, invest in your personal development like your life depends on it, because it does. Read more. Learn more. Explore more. Talk to people who inspire you. Seek feedback, not flattery. Build habits that strengthen your mind, body, and spirit. Because one day, your growth will open doors your job never could. When you prioritize your personal evolution, your future becomes limitless. You'll find opportunities that align with your passions. You'll attract people who share your values. You'll create a life that's not just successful, but significant. And the most beautiful part, you'll realize that your growth was never separate from your career success. It was the foundation of it all along. Because when you grow, everything you touch grows with you. So, as we close this audiobook message, take this with you. Your job is what you do for a living. Your growth is what you do for your life. Don't let your work define your worth. Let your evolution define your journey. Prioritize learning over labels, progress over perfection, and personal growth over your job. Because when you grow, truly grow, you don't just change your career, you change your life. Growth is the true currency of success. It's the invisible wealth that doesn't show up on a paycheck. Yet it determines the quality of your life far more than any financial figure ever will. When you invest in your personal growth, you're building a foundation of value that compounds endlessly. Skills can fade, markets can shift, titles can vanish. But who you become through your growth will always endure. It's the one form of wealth that appreciates, even in the face of adversity. Every successful person you admire today began as someone willing to grow. They didn't have all the answers. They simply had the courage to keep learning, to keep evolving, to keep expanding beyond the limits of who they once were. Growth is what transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary opportunities. It's the difference between surviving your job and thriving in your purpose. You see, many people spend years perfecting their craft, but few invest the same effort into perfecting themselves. And yet, the greatest work you will ever do is the work you do on yourself. Think about it. Your job pays you for what you can do, but life rewards you for who you become. The more you grow, the more valuable you become, not only to your company, but to your family, your community, and most importantly, to your own future. When you grow, you start to see possibilities where others see problems. You begin to attract opportunities that match your mindset. You become magnetic to success because your energy shifts from chasing results to creating value. Growth changes your perspective. It teaches you to think differently, to act deliberately, and to respond with wisdom instead of reaction. When you prioritize growth, you stop looking at challenges as barriers and start viewing them as teachers. Every obstacle becomes a mirror, reflecting the areas you need to strengthen, and when you lean into that awareness, life starts to align with your inner evolution. That's when you stop working just to earn and start working to expand. Consider this: two people can start in the same position, doing the same work, earning the same pay. But one chooses to grow, to read, to learn, to ask better questions, to push beyond comfort, while the other simply repeats what they already know. A few years later, they're no longer equals. One has transformed into a leader, a thinker, a visionary. The other has remained the same, waiting for the world to change while standing still. The difference between them isn't luck or intelligence. It's growth. Growth demands humility, the willingness to admit that no matter how much you know, there's still more to learn. It requires patience, the understanding that true progress is measured not in sudden leaps, but in consistent, intentional steps, and it requires courage, the ability to confront your fears, your flaws, and your limitations, knowing that on the other side of discomfort lies your next level. Every day you spend growing, you increase your personal value. You learn how to handle stress with grace, how to communicate with empathy, how to lead with integrity. You develop emotional intelligence, resilience, and clarity. traits that no job description can fully capture, but every successful person possesses. Growth elevates your standard of living, not because it adds more to your life, but because it deepens your life. It turns ordinary experiences into lessons and failures into wisdom. When you view growth as your greatest asset, you stop measuring success by the size of your salary and start measuring it by the strength of your character. You begin to understand that progress in your career is simply a reflection of progress in your mindset. The more you invest in expanding your awareness, the more effortlessly success finds you, because the world rewards those who continuously improve, those who bring new energy, new ideas, and new versions of themselves to every room they enter. There will always be moments when it feels easier to settle, to play it safe, to stop stretching yourself. But remember, growth doesn't happen in ease, it happens in effort. The comfort zone is where potential goes to sleep, and if you ever feel like you've stopped learning, it's not because there's nothing left to learn. It's because you've stopped looking. So, treat your growth like a lifelong project. Study your thoughts, upgrade your skills, refine your habits, and challenge your beliefs. Every day you evolve is a day you move closer to the life you were meant to live. Because true success isn't about what you've achieved. It's about how far you've come within yourself. Growth is the real currency that fuels your purpose, defines your legacy, and transforms your work from a routine into a masterpiece. Your job is what you do. Your purpose is who you are becoming. It's one of the most overlooked truths in modern life. The idea that our work and our worth are not the same thing. Too often, people confuse their career with their identity, as if the title on a business card defines the depth of their existence. They pour years of energy into climbing ladders, chasing recognition, and fulfilling expectations, only to reach a point where they realize that despite all the achievements, something inside still feels unfinished. That emptiness is not failure. It's a quiet reminder that your job is only a chapter in your story, not the entire book. When you live only for your job, your sense of fulfillment depends on forces outside of your control. Promotions, paychecks, praise, and performance reviews. But when you live for your purpose, fulfillment comes from within. You stop needing validation because you're driven by meaning. Your purpose is not a position or a profession, it's a direction. The path your growth naturally pulls you toward. And while your job might change, your purpose evolves with you. It grows as you do. Many people spend their lives trying to find purpose in their job, but the truth is, purpose begins with who you are, not what you do. It's in your values, your vision, and the impact you want to leave behind. When you connect your daily work to that deeper sense of meaning, everything changes. The routine becomes rewarding. The effort becomes empowering. Even the challenges become meaningful because you understand that they're shaping you for something greater than the role you hold. There's a quiet strength that comes from separating your identity from your occupation. You begin to realize that if tomorrow your title disappeared, you'd still have something priceless. Your character, your skills, your wisdom, and your sense of direction. Those are the things that can never be outsourced or replaced. That's the power of purpose. It's not something a company gives you, it's something you carry within you. Your job is designed to meet external needs, to deliver results, meet targets, or fulfill responsibilities. Your purpose, on the other hand, meets internal needs, to grow, to serve, to make meaning out of your experiences. When you align both, when your job becomes a reflection of your purpose, work no longer feels like labor. It becomes an extension of who you are. You stop counting hours and start measuring impact. Purpose doesn't always reveal itself in dramatic ways. Sometimes it speaks quietly, through the moments that make you feel alive, the tasks that energize you instead of draining you, the causes that pull at your heart. If you pay attention, your life is always trying to point you toward it. Every frustration, every transition, every unexpected detour carries a clue. Even jobs that don't fulfill you are valuable because they help you discover what doesn't align, which brings you closer to what truly does. When you focus solely on your job, you risk building your life around temporary structures. Titles change, industries evolve, and opportunities shift. But your purpose is timeless. It's the compass that keeps you steady when everything else is uncertain. It's what allows you to stand tall even when circumstances knock you down. When your sense of meaning comes from within, no setback can define you, and no promotion can distract you from who you're becoming. The most extraordinary people are not those who have the highest positions. They are those who bring purpose to whatever position they hold. They understand that the goal is not to work for status, but to work from a place of significance. They use their job as a tool to express their purpose, to teach, to lead, to create, to heal, to uplift others. That's why some people in the simplest roles radiate fulfillment, while others in powerful positions feel lost. It's not about the title. It's about the intention behind it. You can always tell when someone has found alignment between their work and their purpose. There's a calm confidence about them, a quiet joy that doesn't depend on circumstances. They show up differently, not because they have to, but because they want to. They see their work as a stage to grow, to contribute, and to evolve. And in doing so, they inspire everyone around them to do the same. So many people chase a job hoping it will lead them to purpose. But the truth is, it works the other way around. Find your purpose, and it will lead you to the right work. When your job becomes a reflection of your growth and values, success follows naturally. You no longer have to force progress. It begins to flow, because your energy is aligned with your essence. That alignment is what transforms ordinary careers into extraordinary callings, and ordinary days into meaningful journeys. In the end, your job will always be temporary. Your purpose will never expire. The goal is not to build a life around your career, but to let your career become a bridge toward living your purpose more fully. When you understand that difference, every step you take, no matter how small, becomes part of something profoundly greater than work. It becomes part of becoming the person you were always meant to be. Every meaningful transformation begins in the space where comfort ends. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is the unseen signal that growth is underway. It arrives quietly, often wrapped in uncertainty, change, or fear, yet it carries the exact ingredients you need to evolve. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid it, mistaking discomfort for danger. But in reality, discomfort is a messenger. It's life's way of telling you that you're stretching beyond the familiar, that you're becoming something more than what you were yesterday. When you stay in your comfort zone, life feels predictable. You know what to expect, and that familiarity brings temporary peace. But that peace often comes at the cost of progress. Growth cannot happen in repetition, it happens in expansion. Every time you challenge yourself, take a risk, or face a fear, you step into a space where the unknown begins to shape you. That's where confidence is built, where resilience is forged, and where your true potential begins to awaken. Think back to the last time you did something that scared you. Maybe it was starting a new job, speaking in public, or making a decision that could change your path entirely. In that moment, your heart raced, your mind filled with doubt, and everything inside you wanted to retreat. But you didn't. You faced it, and somewhere on the other side of that experience, you became stronger, wiser, and more self-assured. That's the beauty of discomfort. It's rarely pleasant, but it's always purposeful. The irony is that we often pray for growth, but resist the very situations that create it. We want confidence, but we avoid challenges. We want courage, but we run from fear. We want progress, but we cling to the familiar. The truth is, you cannot have growth without discomfort. The two are inseparable. The struggle is not a detour from your path. It is the path. It's where your skills are sharpened, your character is refined, and your strength is tested. Discomfort teaches you things that comfort never can. It teaches patience when progress feels slow. It teaches humility when outcomes don't go your way. It teaches adaptability when life shifts unexpectedly. Every difficult situation is an invitation to discover new parts of yourself. When you step into discomfort with awareness, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" That simple shift in perspective transforms pain into power. The most accomplished people in the world didn't arrive where they are by avoiding discomfort. They learned to use it as fuel. They walked into situations that scared them, took risks that others wouldn't, and embraced failure as a teacher, not a verdict. Every success story is built on moments of discomfort, sleepless nights, hard decisions, and uncomfortable growth. What sets those individuals apart is not that they were fearless, but that they learned to move forward despite fear. Discomfort also builds self-trust. Each time you face something difficult and survive, you reinforce a powerful truth: that you are capable. That sense of capability becomes your foundation. It gives you quiet confidence in uncertain times, because you've proven to yourself, again and again, that you can handle life as it comes. That's not something you can read in a book or hear in a seminar. It's something you earn through lived experience, by showing up when it would be easier to back down. The path of least resistance may feel safe, but it also keeps you small. Life will always present you with two choices: to stay comfortable or to grow. One feels easy now, but leads to regret later. The other feels hard now, but leads to fulfillment later. The people who live extraordinary lives are the ones who chose the harder path early. The path of uncertainty, effort, and resilience, because they knew that the temporary discomfort of growth was better than the lifelong pain of staying the same. Discomfort also has a way of revealing what truly matters. When you're stretched thin, when life challenges your patience or tests your limits, the noise fades and priorities become clear. You begin to see which relationships strengthen you, which habits serve you, and which values define you. Growth through discomfort simplifies your life, not by removing complexity, but by clarifying purpose. There's a quiet kind of peace that comes once you stop fearing discomfort. You start to see it not as a punishment, but as a privilege. evidence that life still believes you're capable of more. The discomfort you feel today is shaping the person who will one day look back and thank you for not giving up. You're building endurance, courage, and wisdom in real time. And while the process may challenge you, it's also preparing you for opportunities you can't yet see. So the next time you find yourself standing at the edge of something unfamiliar, take a deep breath and step forward anyway. You may not feel ready, you may not know what's ahead, but one day you'll look back and realize that the moment you embraced discomfort was the moment you began to grow into your greatness. Learning is the heartbeat of growth. It is the quiet, steady force that keeps your mind alive, your spirit evolving, and your perspective expanding. The moment you stop learning, you stop progressing, no matter how successful you appear to be. Continuous learning is not a luxury reserved for students or professionals seeking advancement. It is the very foundation of an extraordinary life. Those who commit to learning continuously, not occasionally, unlock a power that separates them from the crowd, the ability to adapt, to innovate, and to stay relevant in a world that never stops changing. Every person begins their journey with curiosity, a natural hunger to understand, explore, and discover. But as we grow older, routine often dulls that curiosity. We start to trade wonder for comfort, and we mistake experience for mastery. Yet the most fulfilled people are those who keep that spark of curiosity alive. They approach each day as both a teacher and a student, knowing that every conversation, every setback, every moment holds a lesson if they are willing to see it. Learning continuously means breaking free from the idea that education ends when formal schooling does. True learning begins the moment you take responsibility for your own growth. It's not about collecting certificates or degrees. It's about developing wisdom, the kind that transforms how you think, act, and live. You might not sit in classrooms anymore, but life itself becomes your teacher. The people around you, the books you read, the challenges you face, and even the mistakes you make are all part of your curriculum. Every great achiever, innovator, or visionary has shared one thing in common: an unshakable commitment to learning. They read relentlessly, asked questions fearlessly, and listened deeply. They understood that every skill they developed and every insight they gained became an investment in their own potential. Their success was not built on luck, it was built on curiosity. That same opportunity exists for you too. The more you learn, the more you realize how much there is left to discover. Continuous learning also builds confidence. Not the kind that comes from knowing everything, but from knowing you can learn anything. That mindset changes how you face challenges. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," you begin to ask, "How can I learn to do this?" That shift opens doors. It gives you power in uncertainty and peace in times of change. Because no matter what happens around you, whether the world evolves, your job shifts, or your circumstances transform, your ability to learn ensures that you'll always find a way forward. There's something profoundly liberating about realizing that every day holds the potential to make you wiser. Reading a few pages of a meaningful book, listening to an insightful conversation, or reflecting on your own experiences can quietly rewire your thinking. The brain, much like a muscle, strengthens with use. The more you feed it, the sharper it becomes. But when you neglect it, when you stop stretching it with new ideas and perspectives, it begins to settle. And so does your life. Learning continuously also deepens empathy. When you expose yourself to new cultures, histories, and viewpoints, your understanding of the world expands. You stop seeing people as categories and start seeing them as stories. That awareness makes you more compassionate, more adaptable, and more capable of leading with wisdom rather than judgment. True learning isn't just intellectual, it's emotional and spiritual as well. It's about growing not just smarter, but kinder, calmer, and more aware. Sometimes, learning means unlearning, letting go of old beliefs that no longer serve you. Growth often requires clearing space in your mind for new truths to take root. The ideas that got you to where you are may not be the same ones that will carry you forward. That's why humility is such an essential part of learning. The most intelligent people are not those who know the most, but those who remain teachable, who can say, "I don't know yet, but I'm willing to learn." The beauty of learning continuously is that it compounds over time. Each skill you acquire, each insight you gain, each challenge you understand better becomes a building block for future growth. Over years, these small moments of curiosity accumulate into mastery. You begin to see connections others miss, create solutions others can't, and inspire others simply through the clarity of your perspective. In a world that rewards speed, constant learning teaches patience. It reminds you that real growth is a process, not an event. It teaches you that progress doesn't always look like motion. Sometimes it looks like reflection. Every time you learn something new, no matter how small, you move closer to becoming the person you were meant to be. Wiser, stronger, and more capable of shaping your own destiny. Continuous learning is the bridge between who you are today and who you have the potential to become tomorrow. It's easy to confuse movement with progress, to work long hours, chase promotions, and set goals that look impressive from the outside but leave you feeling empty on the inside. True success isn't about how fast you climb. It's about whether the ladder you're climbing is leaning against the right wall. When you align your work with your personal growth, everything changes. Your energy becomes purposeful. Your achievements carry meaning. You stop working just to meet deadlines and start working to meet destiny. Many people live their entire careers chasing goals that were never really theirs. They pursue the expectations of others, parents, peers, or society, and end up achieving things that don't bring fulfillment. It's a strange kind of success, the kind that looks bright from a distance but feels hollow up close. The reason is simple. The work is disconnected from growth. When your job doesn't challenge you, stretch you, or teach you something new, even success begins to feel repetitive. Aligning your work with your growth means turning your career into a classroom for your evolution, not just a task list for your survival. When you focus only on external goals, your sense of satisfaction becomes fragile. It depends on achievements that can fade, a title, an award, a paycheck. But when you focus on internal growth, your sense of fulfillment becomes sustainable. You find meaning in the process itself. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to learn. Every project becomes a mirror, reflecting your strengths and weaknesses. You begin to measure success not by what you achieve, but by how much you evolve while achieving it. Aligning work with growth doesn't mean quitting your job or starting over. It means changing how you approach what you do. It means asking deeper questions. How is this experience shaping me? What am I learning from this challenge? How can I use my work as a platform to practice patience, creativity, discipline, or leadership? When you approach your career with that mindset, even the most ordinary job becomes a space for extraordinary growth. It's not about what the job gives you. It's about what you bring to it. You bring curiosity. You bring vision. You bring the willingness to grow beyond what's required. And that alone sets you apart. Because while others work for results, you work for refinement. You use every opportunity to sharpen your awareness, strengthen your mindset, and deepen your purpose. That shift transforms routine tasks into stepping stones toward mastery. There will be moments when aligning your growth with your work requires courage. The courage to say no to opportunities that don't align with your values, or to walk away from comfort that keeps you stagnant. It's not always an easy choice, but it's always the right one. Growth demands integrity. The discipline to prioritize what develops your soul, not just what inflates your status. You may not see immediate rewards, but over time, your consistency creates momentum that others can't ignore. When your work aligns with your growth, even challenges feel meaningful. You stop seeing them as setbacks and start seeing them as training. Every frustration becomes a lesson in emotional strength. Every delay becomes a test of patience. Every mistake becomes a workshop in humility and resilience. The job doesn't just pay you in money. It pays you in wisdom. That wisdom compounds over time, giving you the inner stability that no external achievement can replace. You'll notice that your definition of success begins to shift. It's no longer about impressing anyone. It's about improving yourself. You start celebrating progress that others can't see. The quiet victories of self-control, awareness, and integrity. And ironically, that inner alignment often leads to the outer success you once chased so hard. People trust you more. Opportunities come naturally. You attract roles, projects, and relationships that resonate with your authentic self. Because authenticity is magnetic, work that aligns with growth becomes more than a job. It becomes a reflection of your evolution. Each task you complete becomes a statement of who you are becoming. You stop compartmentalizing your life into work and personal development, because both start to serve the same purpose, becoming better. Every meeting becomes practice in communication. Every goal becomes an exercise in focus. Every challenge becomes a mirror for your mindset. You're not just working for success anymore. You're working for transformation. In a world that constantly pushes people to chase more, choosing alignment is an act of wisdom. It's realizing that the goal isn't to accumulate achievements, but to accumulate depth. It's understanding that a career without growth is motion without meaning. The real measure of success is not how much you've accomplished, but how much you've evolved in the process. When your work challenges you to grow, when it reflects your values and expands your abilities, it becomes more than a way to earn a living. It becomes a way to build a life that truly feels alive. There will come a time in every person's journey when they must look in the mirror and ask, am I truly growing, or just going through the motions? That moment of reflection is powerful, because it determines the direction of your life. If your answer reveals stagnation, it's a call to realign, not with your job title or paycheck, but with your evolution as a human being. Growth is not accidental, it's intentional. It's the daily decision to become better than yesterday, even in small, unseen ways. It's tempting to wait for the perfect moment, to tell yourself that once things settle, once you earn enough, or once the workload lightens, then you'll start focusing on personal growth. But those moments rarely come. Life doesn't slow down for your dreams. Growth demands that you act now, within the chaos, within the imperfection, within the reality you live every day. If you wait until conditions are ideal, you'll wait forever. Progress doesn't require perfect timing, it requires honest intention. The truth is, personal growth and career success are not enemies. They are partners. But one must lead the other. When your personal growth leads your professional journey, you create sustainable success. When your career leads your personal development, you risk burnout, imbalance, and emptiness. You can achieve everything the world celebrates and still feel unfulfilled if you've neglected the one thing that truly matters, who you are becoming in the process. Think about the people you admire most. What makes them inspiring isn't just what they've accomplished. It's the depth behind those accomplishments. It's their clarity, their authenticity, their sense of peace and purpose. Those qualities didn't appear overnight. They were cultivated through years of choosing growth over comfort, reflection over reaction, and evolution over stagnation. They decided early that success would not define them. Their growth would. Personal growth doesn't always feel glamorous. It often looks like discipline when you'd rather relax, humility when your ego wants to win, and patience when the world demands speed. It's about embracing discomfort as a teacher and learning to listen to what your challenges are trying to show you. Sometimes, growth asks you to pause when everyone else is rushing. Other times, it asks you to leap when fear tells you to stay still. Either way, it requires courage, the kind that comes from knowing that every effort you make toward your development is shaping a stronger, wiser version of you. Many people spend their entire lives building careers that look impressive, but leave them spiritually and emotionally underdeveloped. They master skills but neglect the soul behind them. They chase goals but forget the why. You can avoid that by making growth your foundation. When you grow personally, when you become emotionally intelligent, self-aware, adaptable, and grounded, every part of your professional life elevates naturally. You communicate better, lead with empathy, make wiser decisions, and handle challenges with composure. You stop working just to keep up and start working to create impact. Growth is not something that happens in bursts. It's something you nurture continuously. It's in the books you read, the habits you build, the people you surround yourself with, and the thoughts you entertain. It's in how you handle setbacks, not as failures, but as invitations to rise higher. Every mistake becomes a lesson in resilience. Every disappointment becomes a lesson in faith. Every challenge becomes a reminder that you're capable of more than you once believed. There will be seasons when your growth feels invisible. You'll put in the effort but see no immediate change. That's when patience becomes your ally. Just as a seed grows roots before it grows leaves, your inner work prepares you for the moments of visible success that will follow. Stay consistent, even when no one notices. Growth doesn't always announce itself. It builds silently, then reveals itself suddenly. One day, you'll look back and realize that every moment of persistence, every quiet effort, every internal shift, has brought you to a place you once only dreamed of. True success isn't about being ahead of others. It's about being ahead of your former self. It's not about comparison. It's about evolution. When you make growth your priority, you stop competing and start creating. You realize that the real race is not against the world. It's against stagnation, against fear, against the version of you that chooses comfort over courage. And every time you choose growth, you win a battle that strengthens your spirit. So keep going, even when it's hard, even when progress feels slow. Every moment you spend learning, reflecting, and improving adds up to something far greater than a job title ever could. You're building a legacy of growth, one that no company, economy, or circumstance can take from you. Because at the end of it all, your greatest achievement will not be what you've earned, but who you've become along the way. Thank you for listening to Wisdom in Minutes Audiobooks. Until next time, keep growing, keep rising, and never stop becoming the best version of yourself.